You know, it's amazing when you think about how much video we see every single day.
It really is.
Like, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Tiny little clips on social media to, you know, full-on binge sessions of our favorite shows. Even our work calls are dominated by video now.
Yeah, you're right.
And it all has to go somewhere, all that data.
It does.
So figuring out how to store it all and send it around without everything just grinding to a halt, that's becoming a pretty big challenge.
Oh, it's a massive
I
challenge.
think for everyone, right?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
people like you and me just trying to share a funny video with our families, to these massive companies who are dealing with, mountains and mountains of media files.
Yeah.
So how do we make sense of all that?
Well, that's where video compression comes in, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the unsung hero behind the scenes, making all of our digital video lives possible.
Totally. And that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
We've got some really interesting new data from Cognitive Market Research.
Okay.
They just released their analysis of the video compression technology world on March 29th, 2025.
Ooh, very recent then.
Very recent. And what we want to do today is really pull out the key trends,
Okay.
the exciting new opportunities, and also the challenges that this whole industry is facing right now.
Right.
So think of this as your shortcut to understanding the present and the future of video compression,
I like it.
based on some really, really solid market analysis.
It was good.
Now, first things first, what does this market even look like today? I mean, we talk about video compression, but what's the actual state of things?
Well, I think the first thing that really jumps out from this report is that the market is expanding,
Okay.
like massively.
Expand.
Cognitive market research really, really emphasizes this.
And why? What's fueling all this growth? What's making this market so dynamic?
Well, there are a couple of big drivers.
Yeah.
I think the first one is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
We all want high-quality streaming, right?
Yeah.
We've gotten used to our videos being super sharp and clear.
Yeah.
And that, of course, leads to much bigger file sizes if they're not compressed.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Makes sense.
Then you've got the growing need for efficient cloud storage.
Yeah.
We're creating and watching more video than ever.
Yeah.
So storing it all in a way that doesn't break the bank,
Right.
that's becoming increasingly critical.
Yeah.
And then you can't forget about bandwidth,
Of course.
making sure that those videos can stream smoothly no matter what device you're using or how good your internet connection is.
Yeah, and I think what's really fascinating is how much this impacts so many different areas, right? I mean, obviously we think about movies and TV shows,
Yeah.
but it's also all the social media we consume, all the online education, the way businesses communicate, security cameras, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty pervasive.
Yeah.
And the numbers kind of back that up, right?
Yeah, they do.
So back in 2024, the market was estimated to be about 2,514.5 million USD. And by 2032, it's projected to reach 4,937.2 million.
Wow.
With a KGR, a compound annual growth rate of 8.8%.
That's huge.
It's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something interesting that happened in 2023
Oh, yeah.
about a new AI-powered video compression tool.
Yes, in March 2023,
Yeah.
one of the big tech players, I think it was actually,
Yeah.
introduced an AI-powered video compression tool. And what was really impressive about this was that they were saying it could reduce bandwidth usage by up to 50%
Wow.
while still maintaining, that UHD picture quality.
That's a massive saving.
It is.
50%, like what kind of difference can that actually make in real world scenarios?
Well, think about it for video streaming services like Netflix or Disney Plus.
Right.
A 50% reduction in bandwidth costs, that's
Yeah.
huge savings for them and potentially, lower prices for us.
Yeah.
It could also mean a much smoother viewing experience for people who don't have, super fast internet connections.
Yeah.
And then you think about things like security camera footage. You could potentially have much higher quality video without overloading the network. Or for video calls like we're doing now.
Yeah.
It could make HD video conferencing much more reliable and accessible to people.
Yeah.
So the implications are pretty wide-ranging.
Totally. Okay, so we've got this market that's growing rapidly, and we've got these big technological leaps happening.
Yeah.
What are some of the major trends that Cognitive Market Research pointed to in their analysis?
Okay, well, they kind of reiterate that 2024 market size estimate,
Yeah.
around 2.5 billion USD.
Yeah.
And they link this growth to a couple of key trends.
Okay.
First, there's the increasing demand for higher resolution video.
Okay.
I mean, we're seeing more and more of 4K content out there.
Yeah.
And even 8K is starting to make an appearance. So that's one trend.
Okay.
And then secondly, there's the continued expansion of these over-the-top streaming services, the Netflixes and the Disneys and all that.
Right.
So people are getting more and more of their video content online.
Yeah, that makes sense. We all want the best picture possible, and streaming is king these days.
Right.
Now, to make all that high-quality streaming possible without the internet just collapsing, there's a huge focus on what they're calling the next-generation video compression standards.
Yes.
These codecs, right? AV1, HEVC, H.265, VVC, H.266.
Right.
A lot of acronyms.
They are a bit jargony, aren't they?
Yeah, but basically they're like recipes for how to squish down these video files and then unsquish them back to their original quality on the other end.
That's a good way to put it.
So what's the big advantage of these new recipes?
Well, the main advantage is efficiency.
Okay.
So they can compress those video files much more effectively than the older codecs.
Right.
While maintaining or even improving the quality.
Okay.
So what that means for you and me is that the files are smaller.
Yeah.
Which obviously saves storage space.
Yeah.
And it also means better streaming quality.
Makes sense.
Because less data needs to be transmitted.
So it's basically better video with less data.
It's the goal.
That's the dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the report also highlights a couple of other important trends, like cloud-based video compression, where all the heavy lifting of compressing these files is done on these remote servers.
Right.
And then there's AI-enhanced real-time encoding, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
You're optimizing video streams on the fly.
Yeah, that's a really interesting area.
Yeah, and then there's machine learning.
Yes.
Which is basically teaching computers to learn and adapt how to compress different types of video content in the most effective way possible.
It's amazing what they can do with that now.
So it's a very dynamic space.
It is very dynamic.
The report also looked at where this market is strongest geographically.
Right.
So what did they find? What are the hot spots for video compression?
Well, in 2024, North America had the biggest slice of the market, accounting for about 40% of the total.
Okay.
And that's probably because video streaming, really took off there early on, and they have a really, really strong cloud infrastructure in place.
Makes sense.
Europe was a close second at around 30%
Okay.
of the market share.
And what about the rest of the world?
Well, the Asia-Pacific region is actually showing the most exciting growth right now.
Oh, interesting.
So in 2024, they made up about 22% of the market. But the report predicts that by 2025, their share is going to jump to 25%.
Okay.
And they're also predicted to have the highest BCGR, that compound annual growth rate, at 10.3%.
Wow.
So that's significant.
That's huge. Yeah. What's driving that kind of expansion in Asia Pacific?
Well, I think it's a combination of factors.
Okay.
You've got a lot of countries in that region that are undergoing really rapid digital transformation.
Yeah.
There's a huge and growing population of people who are consuming digital content.
Yeah.
Right. More and more people are coming online all the time.
Right.
And there's also this proliferation of those OTT streaming platforms that we were talking about.
Right.
So the demand for video content is skyrocketing.
Makes sense.
And then you've got some really interesting technological advancements happening in that region as well.
Okay.
They're making big strides in AI.
Yeah.
The rollout of 5G networks is happening very quickly there.
Okay.
And a lot of businesses are moving towards cloud-based solutions.
So it's kind of the perfect storm in a way.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, you've got the infrastructure, the demand, and the technology all coming together at the same time.
Exactly. And I think this growth in Asia Pacific is something to really watch.
Yeah.
Because it has the potential to, really reshape the whole global compression landscape.
Okay.
We might see new innovations, new market leaders even emerging from that region.
Now, speaking of market leaders, who are the big players in this market right now?
Well, the report highlights a few key companies that are kind of leading the pack.
Okay.
You've got Wondershare,
Yeah.
which had the biggest market share in 2024 at around 18%.
Okay.
Then you've got Handbrake, which was close behind at 16%.
Right.
And then FFmpeg had about 12%.
Okay. Those are names that people who work with video probably recognize.
Yeah, they're pretty well known.
What are they focusing on right now?
Well, a lot of their focus is on research and development,
Okay.
trying to make their compression algorithms even better, trying to improve the quality of the compressed video,
Right.
making sure their software works with all the latest video formats.
Yeah.
And, of course, forming strategic partnerships and making sure that their solutions are compatible across different platforms.
Yeah.
And the report specifically mentions that they expect competition in this space to get even more intense in 2025.
Okay.
Especially with the rise of all these AI-powered compression technologies we've been talking about.
So it's not just about the traditional software anymore. It's about who can leverage AI most effectively.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Now, the report also mentioned why people prefer to use video compressors in the first place.
Right.
And it's not just about making the files smaller.
No, it's not just about that.
There's another really important factor.
Yeah, I mean, obviously reducing file size is great for, storage and sending videos around.
Oh.
But the ability of a good video compressor to maintain excellent visual quality.
Yes.
That's crucial.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a blurry, pixelated video just to save a few megabytes.
Right.
The viewing experience is paramount.
Yeah, you want it to look good.
Absolutely.
Now, if we look at the broader video processing industry, video compressors already have a pretty significant share of the market.
They do?
In 2024, those traditional codec-based solutions
Okay.
made up about 40%.
Right.
AI-driven compression was at 30%.
Yeah.
And hardware-based compression solutions were around 20%.
Okay, so even with all the excitement about AI,
Yeah.
traditional methods are still very much in the game.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Now, the report projects that the overall market share for video compressors is going to grow to 42% by 2025.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting.
And they say this increase is going to be driven by a few things.
Okay.
Continued adoption of 4K and 8K video.
Right.
The increasing demand for cloud-based processing. And these ongoing improvements in machine learning for video compression.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
It does.
I mean, efficient video delivery is becoming more and more essential.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good understanding of the current market and the trends that are shaping it.
Yeah.
Let's dive a little deeper into the technology itself.
Okay.
What are some of the key technological trends and advancements that the report highlights?
Well, as we touched on earlier, those HEVC and VVC codecs,
Right.
those are really important.
Okay.
And the report really emphasizes their crucial role in optimizing bandwidth.
Okay.
These newer codecs are much more efficient than the older ones.
Now, how is AI specifically influencing the technology?
Well, AI-powered video compression algorithms,
Okay.
they're having a real impact.
Okay.
They're boosting efficiency, and in some cases, they're actually helping to reduce computational costs
Okay.
by using these smarter encoding techniques.
So even though they're more complex, they can actually be more efficient in certain ways.
Yeah, in certain ways they can.
Okay.
The report actually mentions NVIDIA's announcement back in March 2023
Yeah.
about their AI-driven methods that could reduce bandwidth by up to 40%
Wow.
while still preserving, that all-important visual quality.
It seems like AI is really becoming an essential part of this field.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, we talked earlier about the rapid growth in the Asia-Pacific region.
Right.
Is technology playing a specific role in that growth as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The report really stresses that the rapid technological advancements happening in countries like China and South Korea and Japan,
Yeah.
they're really driving that expansion.
Oh, okay.
So they predict that the Asia-Pacific market share is going to increase from 30% in 2024 to 34% by 2025,
Okay.
with that impressive annual growth rate of 11%.
Yeah.
And this is all fueled by, more people getting internet access,
Yeah.
the widespread use of smartphones,
Right.
which are often the main way that people watch videos these days.
Yeah.
And there's also been massive investments in broadband infrastructure in that region.
So the infrastructure is there to support it, and the demand from consumers is clearly growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, while Asia-Pacific is seeing the fastest growth, North America is still a major player,
Yeah, they are.
holding on to a projected 38% market share.
Right.
And the report attributes that to a few things: the strong presence of OTT platforms in North America,
Yeah.
their well-developed cloud-based processing capabilities,
Right.
and the continued adoption of these AI-driven video optimization technologies.
Yeah, so they're not standing still.
No, they're not.
They're still innovating.
It's interesting. It seems like it's kind of a two-horse race in a way for market share,
Yeah.
but with Asia-Pacific gaining ground quickly.
Yeah, definitely one to watch.
One thing that the report specifically calls out as a key opportunity is the expansion of AI-based video compression.
Right.
Why is that so significant?
Well, I think the potential for growth here is huge.
Okay.
And it's being driven by a few things. The increasing use of AI in general,
Yeah.
the growing need for cloud-based video processing,
Right.
and the fact that we're just seeing more and more high-definition video content being produced all the time.
Yeah.
AI brings a level of intelligence and adaptability to the compression process
Okay.
that traditional algorithms just can't match.
So how does that actually work? What is AI doing in video compression?
Well, it enables things like real-time byte rate adjustment.
Okay.
So basically, the amount of data that's being used per second to transmit the video
Yeah.
can be adjusted on the fly depending on how complex the video content is.
Okay.
So if you've got a very simple scene,
Yeah.
you don't need to use as much data as you would for a very complex scene.
Makes sense.
So you're not wasting bandwidth.
Yeah.
AI can also significantly reduce the amount of storage space that you need
Okay.
by encoding the video much more efficiently without sacrificing quality.
So it's all about optimizing the use of resources.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Now, the report also highlighted cloud-based video processing as a major opportunity.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, with the explosion of these video-on-demand services and live streaming,
Right.
more and more businesses are relying on cloud computing
Okay.
because it gives them the scalability and the cost-effectiveness that they need to handle all this video data.
Yeah.
Cloud-based video compression solutions are essential for making real-time streaming possible.
Right.
Without those annoying delays and buffering and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's why they're so important for platforms like Netflix and YouTube and Twitch.
Right.
And percent of the total revenue in the video compression market in 2024.
That's almost half the market.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow.
So the cloud is definitely playing a massive role.
Now, are there other sectors where video compression is creating, new possibilities?
Oh, absolutely. The medical field is one that's really emerging,
Okay.
with the increasing use of telemedicine.
Yeah.
And the need to transmit these large, high-resolution medical images
Right.
efficiently.
Right.
Video compression is becoming more and more important in that sector.
Yeah. Those medical images have to be really high quality.
Yeah, they do.
So I imagine the file sizes must be enormous.
Yeah, they can be huge.
So efficient compression could really make a difference there.
It could really improve, how quickly and easily medical professionals can access and share this vital visual information.
Totally. And then there's the telecommunications industry,
Oh, yeah.
which is going through its own kind of transformation right now with
Okay.
the rollout of 5G networks.
Right.
How does that impact video compression?
Well, 5G is all about speed and higher bandwidth.
Yeah.
So that means we're going to be seeing even more high-definition video content.
Right.
So you need advanced video compression techniques to make the most of that available bandwidth.
Right.
And to deliver that high-quality video that 5G promises.
Okay.
So it's really pushing the boundaries of video compression technology.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give you a sense of the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the entire video streaming industry
Okay.
is projected to be worth over $900 billion USD by 2026.
Wow.
So that's a massive figure.
Yeah.
And it really highlights, the immense potential for video compression technologies across all these different areas.
It sounds like the future is very bright for video compression.
It does, yeah.
But the report also touched on some challenges.
Oh, yeah. It's not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah.
There are some obstacles.
Yeah. What are some of the things that could potentially slow down this growth?
Well, one of the main ones is the high computational cost
Okay.
that's associated with those advanced video compression algorithms we've been talking about,
Right.
especially the AI-powered ones.
Yeah.
And those next-generation standards like HEVC and VVC.
So even though they're better at compressing the data, they require more processing power to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, they're more complex. The report actually gives the example that compressing video with HEVC can require up to 10 times more computing resources
Wow.
compared to the older H.264 method.
Yeah, that's significant.
It is. And, for businesses that have limited budgets,
Right.
that can be a real barrier.
Yeah.
And then you add in the need for real-time video processing,
Yeah.
which often requires, powerful computers and cloud-based infrastructure.
Right.
That adds to the cost as well.
Yeah, so it's a trade-off in a way,
It is.
between how efficient the compression is and how much it actually costs to do the processing.
Right.
What other challenges did they mention?
Compatibility issues are another big one.
Okay.
Moving to these newer codecs like VVC.
Yeah.
It requires updates to both the hardware and the software that people are using.
Okay.
And a lot of existing systems and devices,
Yeah.
they're just not equipped to handle these next generation standards.
Right. Yeah.
So that can lead to, costly upgrades and resistance from, industries that rely on their current equipment.
I can imagine it would be a big headache for companies that have a lot of legacy technology
Oh,
that
absolutely.
they've invested in.
Yeah, it's a big hurdle.
Okay, what else?
Well, there's also the issue of licensing fees
Okay.
associated with some proprietary codecs like HEVC.
Okay.
These fees can be a real deterrent,
Right.
especially for smaller businesses,
Yeah.
who are trying to keep their costs down.
Makes sense.
And then finally, the report mentions concerns about latency,
Okay.
particularly in applications where real-time interaction is crucial.
Right.
So things like online gaming,
Yeah.
virtual reality,
Yeah.
telemedicine.
Where even a small delay can be really disruptive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While AI-driven compression can improve efficiency, it can sometimes introduce delays into the process.
Right.
And the report refers to studies that show that delays of just over 100 milliseconds
Okay.
can really degrade the user experience in these interactive applications.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, right?
Yeah,
Between effective compression and minimal latency.
exactly. It's a balancing act.
Okay, so those are all important points. High costs, compatibility problems, licensing fees, and latency issues.
Yeah, it's a lot to contend with.
So what's next? I mean, looking ahead, what kind of future developments does the report anticipate in the video compressor market?
Well, the report expects to see, continuous innovation
Okay.
that's focused on addressing those challenges that we were just talking about.
Right.
So making compression even more efficient,
Yeah.
bringing down those processing costs,
Right.
and improving how well these algorithms work in real time.
Okay.
One of the key trends they highlight is the move towards hybrid AI-based compression models.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about choosing between AI or traditional methods?
No, I think it's about finding the best of both worlds.
Right.
Combining the strengths of deep learning with those traditional video compression algorithms.
So it's about finding the best tool for the job.
Exactly, yeah.
The report actually mentions Google's announcement in February 2024
Yeah,
about their next-generation AI-driven video compression framework,
right.
which supposedly reduces data usage by a staggering 50%
It's impressive.
while still maintaining visual quality.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It seems like AI is going to be pretty central to a lot of these future developments.
Yeah, it's definitely a driving force.
What else is on the horizon?
Well, another big development that they expect to see is the adoption of edge computing in video compression.
Okay, now edge computing, that's about processing data closer to the source, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
as more and more devices like, IoT sensors and mobile phones
Yeah.
are generating video data,
Right.
it becomes more efficient to process that data closer to where it's being created,
Right.
rather than sending it all the way to the cloud.
Okay.
This can significantly reduce latency
Yeah,
and lower bandwidth usage.
makes sense.
So it's ideal for applications like surveillance systems,
Yeah.
self-driving cars, remote monitoring, things like that.
Like you wouldn't want to delay in processing video from a self-driving car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need that to be happening in real time.
Right.
And then finally, the report also discusses the growing interest in blockchain-based video compression solutions,
Oh, wow.
which is a pretty interesting area.
Blockchain and video compression.
Yeah, it's all about enhancing security and ensuring the integrity of the video data.
Okay.
So blockchain technology allows for storing and compressing video in a decentralized way.
Right.
So you're reducing reliance on these central servers
Okay.
and potentially improving privacy as well.
So it's a whole different approach to how we manage and store video data.
Yeah, it is.
Now, the report predicts that blockchain-integrated video compression solutions could account for about 12% of the market by 2026,
Okay,
which is pretty significant.
it is.
So it seems like how we handle video in the future could be very different from how we do it today.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
Okay, so to wrap things up, what are the main takeaways that we should keep in mind from this deep dive into the cognitive market research analysis?
Well, I think the key points are pretty clear.
Okay.
The video compressor market is growing significantly.
Yeah.
It's being driven by our, insatiable appetite for video content
Yeah.
and the ongoing advancements in technology.
Right. Right.
Especially in the area of AI-powered compression.
Right.
There's some really exciting opportunities opening up in areas like cloud-based processing, the medical sector, telecommunications.
Yeah.
But the industry also needs to tackle some pretty big challenges,
Yeah.
related to the high cost of these advanced algorithms
Right.
and ensuring compatibility across all these different devices and systems.
Okay.
And looking ahead, we can expect to see some really interesting developments.
Yeah.
Things like these hybrid AI models,
Yeah.
the increasing use of edge computing,
Right.
and even the integration of blockchain technology.
So it's a very dynamic and evolving space.
Yeah, it's a very exciting space to be watching.
Now, this has been a really fascinating look into a technology that's so fundamental to our digital lives.
It is.
And it's clear that it's constantly changing and adapting to meet our ever-increasing need for video.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm curious about something.
Okay.
Considering how rapidly these video compression technologies are advancing,
Yeah.
how do you think they might fundamentally change the way we create, share, and interact with video content in the years to come?
That's a great question.
And what completely new applications might emerge
Yeah.
that we haven't even considered yet?
That's something to really think about.
Yeah, it's food for thought.
It is.
All right, well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of video compression.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, it really has.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds.
Me too.